Welcome, everyone. I'm Harriet Bograd, president of Kulanu, and I'm so glad that you have joined us today for our 19th online speaker event since the pandemic began, since we started having programs last April. We like to start with a short video that shows the communities that we work with.
Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai,
Awesome Cameroon.
Hello. Kulanu, as you know, supports isolated, emerging, and returning Jewish communities around the world. We'd like to thank our sponsors. Molly, do you have a screen for that? Richard Frankoff, Janet Lipsey, Arlene Judith Alpert Mailman, Jonathan Pollock, and Rabbi Jerry and Bonnie Sussman. Thank you so much for your support. Our host today, who will be interviewing our guests, is Rabbi Gerald Sussman. He and his spouse, Rabbi Benita Sussman, who serves as vice president of Kulanu, are Kulanu's wonderful travelers. They've traveled across the globe on behalf of Kulanu to India, Cameroon, Gabon, Ivory Coast, Nicaragua, and Papua New Guinea. Rabbi Sussman serves as a rabbinic advisor to Kulanu and to many of our partner communities. He also has served as rabbi of Temple Emmanuel of Staten Island, a traditional congregation, since 1982, and he's the longest serving rabbi in the Staten Island community. For those of you from far away, Staten Island is one of the boroughs of New York City. He is the founding member of the Union for Traditional Judaism, UTJ, and presently serves as the organization's executive director. He was ordained by the Jewish Theological Seminary of America in 1979. Rabbi Sussman and Bonita are the proud parents of 5 children and many grandchildren. Rabbi Sussman, please take it over.
Oh, thank you. I want to thank you, Harriet, and to thank everyone who is participating in this, as well as those who are directly involved in making it happen. And my special thanks and love go out to our guests on this video from Cameroon. Well, Cameroon has a very special and very warm place in my heart. It was the second place that Bonnie and I visited. And we saw the pictures sent in email of the sweet and loving faces of the community in Sa. And we said, let's go there. And so we made the trip, never having been to Africa before, and not quite knowing what to expect. And what did we find? We found a community fully practicing and knowledgeable in Judaism. A community, I think, which would be the envy of many of the long established communities in the United States, Europe, and perhaps even in Israel. The beautiful services which combined melodies that I knew and many of us know from around the world with their own music, which they had written. The beautiful welcome with song and dance, and again, beautiful music. The warmth of the people. And we were actually in Cameroon twice, once on our way to Gabon. And I have to thank the members of the community in Cameroon for keeping watch over us, accompanying us wherever we went, and seeing that everything worked out all right on our trip. Well, today we will highlight two communities which actually are in a certain way related. The community one community whose leader is Serge Itel, along with his father Mora Nachman and other people of the community and his family, and the other community led by Bitzalel Laurent Elouna. And I have to mention that Serge was a student of Rabbi Bitzalel Laurent Elouna. And so I'm very happy, overjoyed actually, to introduce you to the wonderful Jewish communities of Cameroon. First, I want you to see a video of the community led by Serge. Beautiful music. And now I would like to introduce Rabbi Bezalel Laurent Elouna. He is 65 years old, holds a PhD in biblical economics and engineering, an engineer in computer science. He is the founder of Bet Yeshurun in Sa and Bet B'nai Yeshurun in Yaoundé, the capital. He is also the founder of the Nili School, which stands for Netzach Yisrael Lo Yishaker, the Eternal One of Israel does not tell falsehoods, which is a bilingual school complex from kindergarten to high school. He is the leader of the community, an exegete, a writer, and a professor of philosophy. So here is Bezalel, Rabbi Bezalel, with a short history of the community.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Gerald. Shalom, everybody on the Zoom now, and those who will watch later. Thanks to Rabbanit Bonita, through her, I could contact Kulanu. Thank you, Molly, and of course, thank you, Harriet, and all the staff for letting this happen. It is very hard to word an experience coming from the unreasonable realm, which you can call faith, or simply a miracle, or the language of the heart, or even of the spirit. We used to be a large evangelical church with more than 3,000 members within, spread in around 30 local congregations, which I founded under the name of Mission Evangelical du Christ, Christ Gospel Mission, being the head bishop traveling all over the world, including in the USA, as guest speaker. I was also made honorable citizen of Rio de Janeiro, and so on. Despite all the glory and the money we went with, on the contrary, a huge void, endless vacuum grew up in my soul, feeling like a homeless in the world, until the day in my office when I prayed loudly, "Dear Lord, I need to know the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzhak, and the God of Jacob." 3 days later, I had an answer. I heard a clear voice. "You who want to know the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, this is what we are going to do. You will have to restart the reading of the Bible anew and forget about all you have known and taught." I brought the testimony of my experience the next Sunday during the service. From there, even reading from Christian Bible, new insights came out with such accuracy. I felt like being physically backed by the presence who were opening my eyes and spirit to understand things. I will read things I will read years ago. The scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moshe's seat. All therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. I will be a Christian and no more a bishop. Lost almost in the local communities. They shouted, "He has betrayed Jesus, the Son of God. He has become mad. He is cursed." I lost all my connections around the world. Churches met for all-night prayers that God may kill me. Despite the strong poverty that overwhelmed my life, starvation, my wife left, and my daughters as well, I experienced the death of Psalm 118 about the preciousness of the word of the Torah. A missionary from an American Baptist church offered to recruit me with a salary of $2,000 US per month, which was quite an amount of money in CFA. I rejected the offer. Some 30 heads of families stayed, however, and joined me, testifying the same feeling. The greed for truth, the love for Israel went so deep and so high in us. It wasn't just a question of theology. I felt my soul rebirthing in what I belonged to since. Light and life came back with such a happiness. I organized 2 local communities, one in Sa, 80 kilometers from Yaoundé, Bet Yeshurun, and the other one in Yaoundé, Bet B'nai Yeshurun. Bit by bit, step by step, we were back to our origin, named after all, Israel or Judaism, without any human help. We started observing Shabbat in a very funny way, where the main service was the Havdalah. We had no prayer book. We knew no Jewish song. We did a lot of Bible studies. We knew no, until I could get a Patach Eliyahu from my last trip to France, which became our first rabbi. The dietary was observed from then. From there, with books granted to us by Jewish friends we encountered and internet, the observance grew up. I began to study the reading of Hebrew by myself, alone, and taught it to the congregation. Today, so many can read and pray in Hebrew. All the festivals are celebrated. No one will miss the Shabbat office, a real delight after we have started to masterize the liturgy. The youths wrote more than 30 songs already in French, in Hebrew, in native languages, directly inspired from prayer book or from the Torah. And this is where we have the experience of the Kiddush in its reality. In Cameroon, all the social gatherings are held on the day of Shabbat, weddings, funerals, families encounters, and so on. Once you can't show physically by your presence, you from there expelled from your large family. You lose all your friends. You experience, therefore, in fact, the reality to be set apart for Hashem through his misvot. You have only your fellow Jews to rely on. You are de facto separate, not because you decided to do so, but through the reality of your belief. To be or not to be, that's definitely the question. It goes as well with eating. As you observe the kashrut, you can't anymore eat what they eat. You are definitely in troubles. Andrew Nair stated about the hard happiness of being Jewish. It was from there our experience. Some who thought Judaism was another religion to follow as a new fashion gave up, as well as those who took it as a way to become wealthy. They left the sheep. In the meantime, I traveled to the ancient old Jewish sites in Europe, and especially in Germany, in Mayence, where I have touched the Rabbi Meir's tomb. I took a picture beside the chair of Rashi. Today, it's a story of about 25 years. so much to say, which details will take days to tell about. Berit Milah, Pidyon Haben, Tevilah, the fasting, the festival, Talmud Torah, and so on. The vitality of the congregation is incredible. With a strong bar mitzvah class, which is also our Jewish Youth Association. The elders among them, all graduates from university, engineers, medical doctors, nurses, master degrees, and so on. We have endeavored to get some literature, especially some Torah commentaries, Eli Munk, Sforno, Shmuel Goldin, Joseph Soloveitchich, etc. We still need more. We have created a full school complex named Nili, Netzach Israel Louis Shaker, from kindergarten to high school, even if it's still in provisional materials. But it is fully recognized by the government of the state. Speaking of the school, to our kids, the privilege where of Shabbat, as it is always the case. This is how I can epitomize the lightning encounter, the spiritual wedding, the return back home of the lost sheep of the race of Israel with their Torah, their land, their family. Thank you for these little things that I can share, and I'm ready to answer to some questions.
Well, we have a video first before the questions, but I would like again to thank you for your wonderful presentation and inspiring presentation. I think your Hebrew name should be Abraham, maybe instead of Bitzalel, because you are in a way fulfilling what Abraham did in another time and another place. I'm very curious about the things that you have written, and I would love to have them shared in the Jewish community as a whole. And now we have a video.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'alikneh Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nissim la'avotenu bayamim ha'aretz b'zman hazeh.
גל קדוש, שבת טוב.
Thank you. Now we're going to hear from the communications officer.
Hello, I'm Kohu, the communication officer of the congregation. I'm also in charge of the Bar Mitzvah class of our congregation. I have a master's degree in political science. I intend to pursue a PhD degree. I want to be in the next year a member of the parliament in my country. As far as I remember, I've been in this congregation since I was a child. But my engagement only made sense around my 10 years old when my father, who was a pastor in the evangelical community, decided not to continue. I tried to obey, to respect his choice, but I couldn't. I was dying to know this one God, and I was helped by my mother, who chose to continue the Jewish trip. And that is how I celebrated my Bat Mitzvah in 2013 on the occasion of the Parasha Berukotai. In order for all of this to happen, the Rabbi Bezalel has set up a Bar Mitzvah class to train the future celebrants. We had class every Sunday morning. It was essentially about Hebrew, Talmud, Jewish history, and liturgy, amongst others. With his many responsibilities, I have come up to take the relay with other seniors for the Bar Mitzvah class to allow Rabbi time for other projects. We kept the same schedule by adding talks and educational outing. I couldn't tell you more about this class that I'm passionate about. The best thing would be to come and see by yourself. Just a few words about my role of communication officer of the congregation. I'm extremely voluntary person at work, which can explain the few responsibilities that have been entrusted to me. In this second role, I'm the link between the management committee of the community and the whole committee. I'm also the link between the congregation and the outside world. That is all I wanted to tell you about our congregation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Penina, the president of the Women's Association.
She's muted. You need to unmute. How do we?
Penina, we can't hear you. You need to unmute. There should be a button that's asking you to unmute now.
Okay, somebody is doing for her.
Merci beaucoup.
I think it's okay now.
Yes.
Continue.
Mon nom c'est Penina. Je suis la présidente des femmes de la communauté Beth Beni Yeshurun du Cameroun.
I am Penina, the president of the Women Association of Bet B'nai Yeshurun, Cameroon.
Mon rôle est celui d'organiser les femmes autour
My role is to organize women of the community
autour des projets et de la vie de la communauté.
regarding our projects and the life of the community.
Par ailleurs, j'organise des rencontres en vue des rappels des lois strictement liées aux femmes.
And I organize meetings for women about the laws regarding especially the life of Jewish women.
Par exemple, la loi NIDA, l'allumage des lumières du Shabbat,
Lightning of candles, the Nida,
la cacheroute et la
kashrut, and kosherization.
Oui, je peux vous dire plus, mais je m'arrête là.
I could have said much more, but I will stop there.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay. Do we have anyone else? We have the Shamash? I guess not. So anyway, thank you so much. And now we have the delight of listening to the community in song.
Le chant.
Isma Moshe
Bematnatrel qui est
Karatalo Isma Moshe Bemanadrel qui est Karatalo quel est différé
Thank you for that beautiful music. Thank you very much. Did we forget something? Somebody? Would we have that shamash to speak as well? Do we? Is the shamash ready? Ima? I guess not. Ima.
Hi everyone. My name is Laurent Kohu. I'm 64 years old. I have a bachelor degree of psychology. I'm married and mother of 6. My family and I are members of Bet B'nai Yeshurun for more than 20 years now. We have been with Rabbi since he was bishop. I learned from him. I'm shamash of our community, and I am in charge of current affairs of the community, like organization of Shabbat, festival, and so on. Thank you very much for listening to me.
And thank you so much. And my apologies for not having you a little bit earlier in the program. So now I believe we have some questions from the group who are listening. And also I have one question for Rabbi Bezalel, and that is, tell us a little bit about your relationship with the worldwide Jewish community, and perhaps even with other groups that practice Judaism in Cameroon.
Thank you for the good question. I have too much relation abroad. I had the congregation of Emmanuel in Providence, in Rhode Island. Years ago, I've visited the congregation of Bet Hillel in Brussels, and but in Cameroon, I'm not related to any organizations, because you have so many organizations that are more related to what they call, how they call it, Judaism, Messianic Judaism. They are more Christian than, so this is not my way. This is what I can say. Then I had the opportunity to come upon the Rabbanit Bonita. Through her, I met Kulan.
So just want to share a few of the comments, and there are more comments than questions, actually. Okay. Um, to everyone, let's see. Keep up your good work. Toda Rabbi. And also people wrote how that you make us proud to be Jewish. And so there's a question here. When did you inspire all? Thank you. So we also have a question if there are other Jewish communities, which we've already answered. And let's just see something here. Is there much association between the Jewish communities of in Jewish? Is there much association that between the various Jewish communities in the different parts of Cameroon?
Actually, no, the link is not yet, made up. This morning, I received a phone call of a certain Ezekiel. And we shared, he's alone in Garoua, in the northern part of Cameroon. And from now, okay, we'll try to see what we can do to help him to grow.
Someone also asked if you have made a CD of your beautiful music, and that how they would love to hear the music as a regular basis.
The CD is not yet there; it's in project. We have to get the money to go to a studio to register.
Well, I would suggest something in addition to the CD, that you try to have your, if you haven't already, have your writings published, and not only in French, but also in the language, in what have become the two international languages of the Jewish people, Hebrew and English. I think I've always felt that enlightenment for our time will come from Jews in Africa and in Asia and other parts of the world. So I want to say, in terms of your thought and your thinking and your belief, we need you, and we need to hear about your inspiration and what you have done with these inspiration. Someone also wrote a question about a sensitive issue, about the anti-LGBT sentiment in Cameroon. Do you wish to make any comment on that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't get that.
Well, someone wrote a question about the anti-gay sentiment in Cameroon, and just want to know if you have any comment about that.
Oh, I don't know if in my area, my experience didn't go to that, but I heard some noises in that sense. But as for me, I think that God has created his world, and maybe some people got some accidents in their being, physically or physiologically, I don't know, and they behave differently from others. This is not my choice. I will not encourage somebody else to go that way. This is what I can say, but I will not stone anyone. This is what I can say.
Okay. Now, another question, and maybe this will be the last question. Do you feel any connection to the ancient tribes of Israel in terms of descent and genetics? I know you feel a strong spiritual connection, but do you feel that there is a connection by descent, by literal physical descent?
Can you make it otherwise, please?
Do you feel a connection to any of the ancient tribes of Israel? Has there been any genetic testing to see if there is an ancient connection?
Okay. I don't know exactly what to say about that, because you have to gather enough reasons to come to that conclusion. The only thing we can say that is in our area, we have a lot of names in connection with a Jewish name. Ada, like Elouna, my name, we have so many names that we meet in the Bible. This is what I can say. We have maybe in the traditions of the tribe where we were born from, some traditions who are very close to what is lived in Israel, as the Bible tells it. This is what I can say. My name has no signification in my language, but when you say Elouna, you have Elona, you have Ilana, we have, okay, that's it, and so many names like that.
Very nice, thank you. Here's an interesting question. I believe it's from someone in Africa. According to some historians, in 1920, there were large numbers of Israelites, 400,000, he says, in Cameroon. Do you know what happened to them? Does this question sound familiar to you?
No.
No, this question does not sound familiar to you. And how many children attend the school?
The school?
Yes.
140. 140.
Nice school. Okay. Well, so those were some of the questions, and I thank you again for answering them. And I think you make us all proud. You're a good example for us all over the world. And now I'd like to once again to introduce Harriet Bograd, the president of Kulanu.
I want to add my thank you to all the people who spoke and to Rabbi Sussman for hosting this. We hear the expression jaw dropping, but my jaw was actually literally dropping when I saw some of the music and the speaking. It was just wonderful, and I haven't gotten to know all of you before, so this was really a treat for me. In a minute, we're going to go into breakout rooms, and I'll explain that. But first, I just wanted to take a minute to thank those of you who have so loyally been supporting Kulanu and our work over so many years, and some of you who have more recently started supporting us. We have with us some of our very big and very donors of all sizes, of all amounts. We treasure those who give us $20,000 or $30,000, and we treasure those of us who give us $5. We have someone who mails us $5 every week. And however you can support Kulanu's work, we make good use of your money, as you can see, and it allows us to keep on getting to know additional communities and to keep on staying in connection with the ones that we already know. We have connections in more than 30 countries. So again, thank you for your support. If you're someone who'd like to support Kulanu, if you go to kulanu.org, donate, and Molly will write that in the chat. You can either donate online or you can find instructions on how to mail a check. So now, one of the things we love about Kulanu is not just work that we do, but the sense that